This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
You know how sometimes the first play of the game can be a real tone setter?
Aussie.
Yeah, I basically just went with Ashton Jen Teabag.
NFL.
He's not a walking 7 for 70 as I learned last week when he went 1 for 5.
Fantasy.
I'd probably lean towards taking Henry maybe ahead of McCaffrey just because of what I've seen.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Loading.
Australia's premier NFL fantasy show is back for a Sunday here on the Aussie Gridiron Network. This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. They call me Matty C, and once again, joining us on a Sunday, we dragged him out of bed, shook him down, slapped him across the face a couple of times, and he's ready to go. It is Talor Goodall, Australia's finest fantasy analyst. How you going, mate?
Sorry, Talor Goodall, is that the name that's written on my meeting right now?
Mate, it is not. Do you need me to do that?
Bring it up, mate. Call me cock shout. That's who I am.
Okay, we'll try this again. And joining me again on a Sunday morning, we got him out of bed, we slapped him across the face a few times, gave him a very strong coffee. It is Cock Showers. Welcome back to the show, Cock Showers.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be back. And if you don't draft Dak, you're going to get kicked in the sack. Let's fucking go.
In some ways, I know that that was all improv, but it works, mate. I love that.
I'm so back. A couple of lean weeks, but I'm so back.
When we only do these every 2 weeks, the second week, we are just itching, aren't we? This is the problem. Every 2 weeks is not often enough.
I wouldn't like to have an itchy sack, so I would not prescribe that on anyone.
Certainly not for 2 weeks. I'll subscribe to that. We have been blessed to have both our guests from the Friday show. They have obviously just absolutely checked in any self-respect they had and decided they would join us again for the Sunday show. I'd like to welcome in Australian Gridiron Network regular from G'day Gridiron, Isaac Punity. Welcome back, mate.
Thank you. And it was like I had self-respect to start with if I threw it away, but there's none there.
I'm sure there was a day where you used to have it. I just don't remember that day. We also are bringing in brand new face to the Aussie Gridiron Network, but a long-time fantasy player and new to you, but not so new to us. If you were doing life right, you caught Bowdo on the Friday show, so go and catch up a little bit with Bowdo. But he's back for the Sunday show. Welcome back, mate.
Awesome, back. Thanks for having me again, boys.
Mate, I noticed that you've taken up the sauna office again for a Sunday. Is this kind of just your quiet place? Is your kind of style?
It's the quiet place. Close the glass. No one can see me. So, yeah, this is when I turn up the heat, man.
It sounds like a room for secret stuff. I kind of feel like we might be invading your personal space a bit.
Yeah, not when I'm cleaning my room.
That's a reference from our green room before the show. Oh my gosh, that was pretty wild. I wish we'd recorded all of that. There would have been some great drops in that. But hey, mate, welcome back for the Sunday show. It clearly proves your depraved mind that you are more than willing to join us of your own free will too for a second time in the same week. So shame on you or congratulations. I'm not quite sure.
I'm keen as mustard, man. Love drafting. Ready to go.
Yeah, and that's why we're here. This is the Sunday show. We did this 2 weeks ago with Ian from G'day Gridiron, and we even invited in, for reasons unknown, but we invited Pastry Press NFL Manjot Melly in to join the draft room. And this week, we have done something shockingly similar. We've got the 4 voices you've become accustomed to in the last couple of minutes, but we've also invited into the draft room for this week a very special guest. We are going to be using Sleeper, as we always do. We are entering a draft room, which it's a 10-team draft. It's going to be 1 quarterback. Last time round, we drafted just 1 flex. That is standard in a lot of providers. This time around, we're going to go with the 2 flex option as standard because that is the sleeper standard. And we're going to draft a full 16 rounds. The person we've invited in to our draft room is the bear lover himself, the commissioner of every league on the island, it seems at the moment, every league that's been created in the last, 10 days. But he is Kev the Croc Hunter Patterson. We had him on the show 2 or 3 times last year. He is here to help get through this mock draft. He has taken up a position in the draft. We have got 10 teams in this league, and 5 of them are going to be picked by us. Do we say experts, Tay? Is that too nice of a word to use for us?
Yeah, it's go with wankers, really. That's pretty...
It's a 5 wanker draft and 5 auto picks. Okay, the draft positions. I need to set the table here. Talor, for reasons I'm going to ask about in a second, is in draft position number 101. Bowdo's gone and found himself home immediately after that 102. I went and took up 103 because at the time, no one else was in this draft room, and Isaac was at 104. And I wanted an early pick, and I also kind of wanted to have the opportunity to snipe and be sniped. Since then, Isaac's actually moved himself down to pick 7. So there's going to be 3 auto picks, 4, 5, and 6 before Isaac. And then 2 more auto picks before Kev is stapled to the back end at 110, which means he'll get to kick off the second round. Table set, but Tay, why the hell are you at 101?
I think it's just very different. I only had one 101 pick in all of my drafts last year in redraft, and it was a super flex. So I went to Josh Allen. So it wasn't what we're doing here with just a sort of 1 QB league. So I pretty much drafted around the same range all of last year. I was kind of 106 to 110 in all my drafts. So I just thought it'd be different for me to go to 101. Like, because even when we've done these mocks, I'm generally somewhere between that 104 to 106, 107 sort of range. So I thought, you know what, I might, instead of going right at the end, which I considered as well, I thought, you know what, I might just start and take the 101 and see how it looks on that second and third turn.
Yeah, and I think this is the beauty of mock drafting, is that it gives you a license to try things that you wouldn't usually do, or you miss the opportunity to try in other settings. Hey, I do notice, Bowdo, you found yourself in at 102. What led you there, mate?
Well, I think at number 2 position, any pick 1 to 5 is a smash hit. So at number 102, man, I've got the second best chance of getting the player that I want. So that's why I snuggled in between you fellas at the 102.
That's an awkward sandwich too, because Tay, he's a pretty meaty hug, and old Matty C here is a kind of a bit like hugging a piece of straw. So I don't know how that's going to work for you, mate.
Oh man, it's like a reverse cheeseburger. That's fine by me, man.
They're a weird double adapter. I'll go with that. I picked 3 essentially because I have been very vocal about liking the 6 to 10 range. And I kind of want to see what it's like if I push myself outside of the comfort box. Isaac, you find yourself at 7. What's going on there?
Well, when I logged in tonight to do this mock draft, we were all sitting 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was like, we can't have it like that. Let's just drop back a bit. And 7's my favourite number, so here I am.
That's simple? That's it?
That's simple.
All right. Kev is 10, and we won't get an explanation from him because, mate, putting 5 on here, I am not skilled enough to work my bullshit with that many people on the mic. But what we'll do, we'll kick this draft off, and we will see what does Talor do with the 101, because, mate, there's a lot of pressure when you've got the first pick.
Well, Matty C, I have the entire fucking board at my disposal.
Okay.
Much to say. To be honest, I know who I'm going to take, even though I have Rex lyrical about like Saquon Barkley and how I think he's going to be the one again this year. But I'm going to go ahead and take Jamar Chase. I actually want to see what I'm taking a wide receiver first as well, because in a lot of my mocks, I am still going running back pretty heavy early on because I just think there's a lot of guys still at good values. But I am going to take Jamar Chase and see how it looks taking wide receiver first.
Hey, Bowdo, does that put you under any pressure there?
Man, going into every draft over the past few years, it's always running back first. Man, I just think if you've got a good running back, you don't have to worry about the dead zone. You don't have to worry about the drop off. And if you got a solid RB1, mate, the world's your oyster. So we've got Saquon.
I feel like there might be a little Philly bias. Am I okay saying that?
Mate, everyone froths Barkley. And I'm jumping on that train too, man.
Enough for frothing up Barkley this last year. That's what I said, Matty. Wasn't mine.
Mate, I'll be Barkley's fluffer any day of the week.
I'm going to go ahead and take a running back as well, because I'm a bit of a fan of building RB first. I'm going to take Bijan Robinson. Immediately after, I took Bijan last year as well as everywhere I could get him, and I was very happy. CeeDee Lamb goes after me, then Justin Jefferson, and Malik Neighbors is the fourth wide receiver off the board before we get Isaac up, which means only Barkley and Robinson have gone at running backs. It's 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs. Isaac, where are you looking? How are you looking to build your team here from the 7th pick?
Yeah, so I was going to go with wide receiver heavy at the start, but with the way the computer's chosen that way, I've got to take Jimmy Gibbs. I think he's the best value pick there.
The guys we see immediately go after, I think, Amon Ra going as late as 8. There's also a little bit of robbery. Puka Nacua goes at 9, and Derrick Henry is Kev's pick. He's at number 10. He takes Derrick Henry at 110, which I feel like if you told anybody this last year at the end of the season that you could get Derrick Henry at the end of the very first round, you get laughed off the planet. He immediately goes and takes Drake London as his first wide receiver, which is the 7th off the board. And then Brian Thomas goes at Team 9, who've got Nakua and Brian Thomas now. Ashton Gianti goes at round 2, pick number 3, before we see Isaac back on the board. With Jameer Gibbs in your pocket, what do you do here? How does the board lay out for you?
Got Nico Collins there. I can't draft a tight end in the second round with Brock Bowers sitting there. So it's going to be between Collins and I'm going to have to say Christian McCaffrey. All reports are that he's healthy out there. So I think CJ Stroud's in for a good year again this year, which means Nico Collins will be in. So I'll take Nico Collins.
So we've got Jameer Gibbs and Nico Collins, which is looking good. Brock Bowers goes immediately after, and then Devon Achane and Christian McCaffrey is the 7th pick in the second round.
It's insane.
Hey, that seems outrageous, Tay.
I don't understand it, to be honest. Everyone's just too worried about injury.
It's extraordinary to me. Absolutely extraordinary. This is a guy who legitimately could finish with the most points of everybody in fantasy, and here he is at the 17th pick. I went ahead with no hesitation and took AJ Brown because, well, fucking Bowdo, take that, mate. I love a bit of inner excellence, and I also think that it's probably a blessing because you've already got Saquon, and there's only one ball, mate.
I knew my strategy, going straight into it. I couldn't say no to 2 solid RB1s. I'm going to be the whole season not stressing about my running back situation. So I'm going to go Bucky Irving.
That is the 8th running back here as we get to the end of the second round. There were 4 in the first round, 4 in the second round. Tate, you don't have a running back, and now you've just had 2 running backs go immediately after and immediately before your picks. Where are you looking?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy with how that sort of fell. And in this range, I'm actually happy I have a wide receiver first because I do like the running backs better in this range than the wide receivers. Your running backs here are Jacobs. Not a big Jonathan Taylor fan, but there are people out there that like him and obviously drives his ADP sometimes. Kyron, Chase Brown, we all know my love for both of those guys. I do think I may go double running back here. I just think that the value is definitely there for them. I'm going to go ahead and take Kyron just to sort of get a little bit more time on that clock. I think there's a pretty good chance I'm just going to end up with him in all these mocks. It doesn't seem to matter where I'm actually picking from, but the fact that I got him at the end of the second round, I think that's just insane value. You know what? I'm actually going to leave Jacobs and take Chase Brown anyway. I'm going to actually follow my rankings. I know Jacobs technically was a better value there, but I've got a lot of confidence in Chase Brown and that Bengals offense this year. So I always say to you, Matty, that I seem to have to pick between Kyron and Chase Brown. I found a way to not have to, so I'm happy with it.
Porque no los dos, mate. Why don't we just have both? It's the old El Paso ad, and that puts Bowdo up, who's got Saquon Barkley and Bucky Irving. Where are you looking, Bowdo? What do you got?
I actually was going to go Chase Brown if you fell to me. To most people, that would have seemed like a bit of a reach, but
not on this show, mate. You're amongst friends.
Even further.
I would have been perfectly happy with tripling down on running backs, but my mindset here is I will draft a elite 1 QB. Mate, why would I take this guy out of my lineup? He's going to stay there the whole season. even if he is playing like shit, he's staying there. So, welcome back. Welcome back, Josh.
Can I ask a quick question, Bowdo? Do you find it easier to take a onesie position earlier in a 10-team league than, say, like a 12 or 14? Is it just easier to find other running back receivers later?
Obviously in a bigger league, all the good guys, them guys don't come around, when it eventually gets back to you. So 5 people in this mock will get a solid RB, but only 2 will get, that top 2 elite quarterback. So
the difference maker.
Yeah.
Now, mate, I don't have a lot to say about my pick because Tay stepped over Josh Jacobs. I'm not going to overthink this. I took Josh Jacobs. There were no other wide receivers there that rang my bell the same way that Josh Jacobs was ringing my bell. And then it goes JSN, Trey McBride, Lad McConkey. That puts Isaac on the clock. What do you got, mate? What are you going to
do? Reese has just convinced me to take QB. So I had Lamar Jackson sitting there. Again, like Josh Allen, he's going to produce every week.
So you've got Jameer Gibbs, Nico Collins, Lamar Jackson, and I think legitimately 3 guys you can make the conversation around, finishing in the top 2 at their position for all of them. Then he goes T. Higgins, Jonathan Taylor. Kev on the clock at the corner. He had Drake London go to him in the second round. He finishes the third round by taking Garrett Wilson and immediately takes a third wide receiver with Devontae Adams at 4-1. Jaden Daniels goes at 4-2, Tyreek Hill at 4-3. Isaac, you're back on the clock with a choice here. You've got Gibbs, Collins, Lamar Jackson. What's the board look like and where are you going?
Okay, so I went with running back just because Breece Hall, last year he was getting drafted at 102. He was going to be in for a great season, but he had Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. And this year with Justin Fields, I think he's going to take a lot of running pressure off him, which will open the field up for him. So that's why I've gone with Breece Hall.
Jalen Hurts goes next and then James Cook before, and this is exactly why Taylor erupted moments ago.
Erupted.
I can't even talk about it, Taylor. You're going to have to tell the listeners.
Look, if this just keeps happening every mock draft show we have, I'm just going to be a real happy camper. This is just amazing. It's not that he just goes before you pick. It's literally the pick before you. Both mocks, Mike Evans, the most smash pick for you possible. You got him ranked fucking may as well be 1 wide receiver. And every time in the 4th round, it doesn't matter where you are. You pick 8, you pick 3. The computer before you just picks him. It is glorious. It really pumps my tires.
Makes me fucking sick. That's a 16th wide receiver off the board. And he goes literally the exact pick. The one pick before I'm choosing 2 in a row. And I'm fucking filthy, mate. I don't have anything nice to say to anybody at all. The good thing is that there is one other bloke who I'm really, really comfortable with in this range who I can't step over. I'm going to go and smash down on Terry McLaurin. He was a top 5 wide receiver last year in fantasy. While I know that things will be a little different for Jaden Daniels this year, I still have a lot of faith in Terry, so I've gone and picked him. This puts you in an interesting position, Bowdo, because a couple of wide receivers went right before you. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm not. They're good players, but I'm just not keen on this range of wide receivers. I think if I waited that little bit longer, I'll get a couple of guys that I'd be happy with. Given that this is a couple of flex spots, mate, if one RB goes down, you ain't finding anyone on the waiver wire. So I'm going to take a swing at Hampton for the LA Chargers.
Bowdo, I love your confidence. I do. It puts Taylor on the clock now, who's got Jamar Chase, Kyron Williams, and Chase Brown. What do you do, Tate?
Bowdo and I are looking at this board very similarly, and I'm thinking the exact same thing. I don't think I love the wide receiver group in this range again. And he makes a good point again about the 2 flexes. I don't have any qualms going back-to-back running back again here and going 4-1. And the fact is, because I have Jamar Chase, it doesn't make me feel like I am needing to go wide receiver 2 super quick because I can kind of go that hero wide receiver strategy and just really load up my running backs. And then I'm not so worried about who my wide receiver 2 is because I've got Jamar Chase probably scoring 20 to 25 points. It doesn't matter so much. So I've got 2 guys I really love in this range. And my first one is someone who I think is getting ridiculously underrated, and it's Stu Barbard. I love him there. And I brought this guy up too, Kenneth Walker. If he can have a year where he can put it together and play most of the games, I actually think the world is his oyster, and I think he's completely underrated. So, yeah, I'm going to go a real heavy running back strategy after I went Jamar Chase.
It's 4 running backs in a row. So he's got Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, and Kenneth Walker. That is running back 16 and 17 off the board after Omari and Hampton went to Bowdo. Mate, your wide receiver picture hasn't cleared up much.
Like I said, that wide receiver range, I'm not too keen on it. And if I, fast forward and look at all the other teams, they're pretty healthy at wide receiver. So you think they're going to double down on RBs. So I think I will go tight end. I think George Kittle with no true wide receiver 1 at San Fran at the moment, I think opens up a lot of opportunity for Kittle.
Talor, sing your song.
I've got him as my tight end 1 this year, so I've got no qualms with it. It's just of the way I build my teams. If I know there's 2 flexes, I like to get that done pretty quickly and then look for value at the onesies a bit later, just because obviously our rosters are a bit, stretched, obviously, with the 2 flexes.
I am doing the same thing. I did this in the last mock draft, but again, this is something where I'm now considering that I love the depth at some of these wide receiver and running back positions, and I'm going to go ahead and take Joe Burrow. I don't have anything that's tying me to him because it's not like I've got Chase or Higgins. So I went and took him, and then immediately after me goes Marvin Harrison, Alvin Kamara, Cortland Sutton before Isaac's on the clock. And, mate, you have got Jameer Gibbs, Nico Collins, Lamar Jackson, and Breece Hall. What are you doing with your draft board here?
Yeah, I'm more liking the wide receiver group here. So I went with DJ Moore, and the fact is Ben Johnson went there, so the offense is going to be doing some more stuff, and he might be seeing the ball a lot more.
DJ Moore, we're pretty confident. Everyone in the room would agree that he's expected to be the number 1 target there. Anyone?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
Rome ain't getting shit.
And I mean, this is the 5th round, midway through the 5th round. So I just feel like that's a great pick. It goes then to Rashee Rice. Joe Mixon is rounding out the 5th round with Tet McMillan. BK Pato, our mate Kev, the Crocodile Hunter, loves a young wide receiver. He then backs it up with a young running back. For context, he's gone Derrick Henry, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Tet McMillan. And then to start the 6th round, goes with Quindon Judkins, which is the nice new shiny running back over at Cleveland Browns. On the way back in, we get DK Metcalf, and then Sam Laporta is the 4th tight end off the board before we see Isaac back on. Mate, the board has changed a bit. We've lost a couple of wide receivers, a couple of running backs, and Sam Laporta. Does this change much about how you're feeling about where you go next?
Yeah, it does. Just looking at the board there, we've got Zay Flowers, not overly high on him. I'm probably going to take this guy, Devonta Smith, wide receiver 2, but I just can't pass up at RB1, James Conner in Arizona. There's a lot of talk about Trey Benson, but I think Conner's going to start well.
Okay. Then Zay Flowers and Devonta Smith, the 2 guys you spoke about, go immediately after. Xavier Worthy is the pick at 6 and 7. Matty C on the clock now. Tay is going to love this because you talked the hell up out of Jameson Williams as a bit of an upside shot. And to me, I think this is a year where he really does establish himself as a real second receiver. But he's also, we've talked about this too, he's a 12-point play waiting to happen anywhere. He is my 3rd wide receiver, and he would be my 1st flex consideration. He goes and puts Bowdo on the clock. Mate, you are yet to get a wide receiver. Has just seeing 8 or 9 guys go since you were last on the board changed your feelings there?
Yeah, there was a couple, probably the last 4. I was aiming for at least one of them, so that throws that out. So I wanted either Zay Flowers Skinny Batman, Devonta Smith, he would have been a good one. Xavier Worthy, as you can see in the Super Bowl, he's definitely got the potential to be a good wide receiver one. So that's out the window. But this is probably my last chance to get another RB in that flex spot. But I think Swifty, with Johnson going over there, he's obviously worked with him before. I think he'll get the best out of him in Chicago.
Tay, what are you looking like on this board? You've got Jamar Chase and then just running backs from here to Timbuktu.
I'm glad he didn't take Pickens because that's who I'll be taking first because I do think there's upside to him in that Cowboys offense. They did nothing to really improve their running back room outside of Javonte, who I think we even like ourselves. But really, do you see him as some absurd upgrade over Rico Dowdle from last year? So I just think they're going to pass so much, and that's just going to be their way forward. So I did see him as that one guy left that I liked in that range. There's two value wide receivers I love, and they're basically both the ones on their teams, and they get left for dead in drafts. I would have actually reached for probably both of them on the turn here, but now because I took Pickens, I'm going to essentially choose between the two. It is hard, but I think I'm just going to back the offense that I think will be more set in stone. So I'll take Khalil Shakir and then back to Bowdo.
Oof. Yeah, you're kind of on the same wavelength there. It would have been good to double down with a QB and wide receiver one. I got Olave, sort of sitting there, not real confident in his QB situation. I don't think anyone knows what's going on.
No, it's probably going to be Rattler. It looks like it's going to be Rattler.
Yeah, he looks like the Aldi version of what's his name, Mahomes. Let's go.
I think that is a generous description. I think he looks like the Aldi version of Eli Manning.
I think I might go Waddle. I've had a bit of success for him in the past. I think Hill's sort of on the decline. Who knows? He might not even be there soon. So let's get Waddle as my wide receiver one.
You're working into that range where we're in the late part of the 20s at wide receiver. To me, I don't know that there's a world where we can expect he's going to produce less than that because I think do what you will with Tyreek Hill. I'm not sure that he's going to be as impactful as people think. Jalen Waddle definitely seems to be more sustainable to me in that offense. And, mate, you've gone what is the most legitimately zero wide receiver I've ever seen. We are in the 7th round before you've taken your first wide receiver.
Yeah, well, man, this could be a whole new strategy. Everyone's talking about zero RB. For years, I was zero tight end. I drafted Laporta in the last round, and man, he was gold. So I think I've got more trust in a good running back than I do 2 wide receivers.
But I'm going to probably take one in the neck here too because I'm working off my ranking sheet and this is what will be considered a decent reach is that I'm big on firm up your running backs and for me it is itchy to get into the 7th round without a third running back. I'm going to go ahead and take Aaron Jones who is to me, pretty clear one going on in Minnesota and I feel like while he's about the 25th running back to go, he just has very few pathways to not be a top 20 running back. And to get him in the 7th round makes me very happy. I certainly trust him more than the guy who went next, RJ Harvey at Denver. And the running back later in the round was David Montgomery. In between that is Jordan Addison. We're going to have Isaac on the clock here. His team really quickly is Jameer Gibbs, Nico Collins, Lamar Jackson, Breece Hall. We've got DJ Moore there, and James Conner was his last pick. So you're sitting pretty neatly balanced. You've got 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and your quarterback. Where are you looking now, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to go wide receiver again, and I think I'm not going up the top. I'm going for a bit of a reach. It says here he'll get back to me on the turn, but I'm going to take Jerry Jeudy purely for the fact that last time Joe Flacco was in town, Jerry Jeudy was killing it. That's the reason I went that way.
If it's Joe Flacco, Jeudy is literally the biggest steal of the draft. It is a shot worth taking, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm finding it hard to disagree with too because we saw what Jameis did to this guy. I don't think Joe thinks any differently.
100%.
Then we see Patrick Mahomes in the late part of the 7th round, legitimately could have been a first-round pick in years gone by. Olave goes towards the end of the round, which was interesting because we were talking about him towards the end of the previous round, and here we are almost at the end of the 8th round. And, 7th round. And we bring Kev onto the clock. He picks Trey Henderson to finish the 7th round. That puts us at around about the halfway point of this draft.
G'day, Gridiron.
Anyone that hasn't joined us before, it's pretty simple. Let's kick it off, eh? Is everyone ready?
The 4 horsemen of NFL in Australia.
If the sound ever plays, the pick is officially in.
Nick the lineman.
So it's the worst against any team, and it's also the worst passer rating that he has against any team at 66.3.
Brad the coach.
The Steelers have held the Ravens under 20 points in 7 straight games.
Isaac the analyst.
For this one, I couldn't understand it either. Like, I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Ian the Viking.
Full of passion, full of fight. They might genuinely be interesting to watch again.
Previews, overreactions, and bloody best bets.
If Derrick Henry can get rolling, then I think it's no contest. The Ravens are going to win.
As a fan of the NFL, you hope he comes back because he's just an absolute beast when he gets on there.
That would be able to give, at least Justin Fields a chance to be able to build.
Let's move on after that insanity.
So I just think, though, it's going to stop here.
Defensively for the Bills, I don't think that's actually going to combat what the Chiefs do already.
Yeah, I guarantee you, Pete would get down on his knees for that.
G'day, Gridiron.
I love spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet man.
I love spreading my legs.
Twice a week, all season long on the Aussie Gridiron Network. This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Hey, is that movement in your pants?
That's the question.
A little bit of beer, but a lot of vodka.
How does all this stack up when we bring it into a fantasy landscape?
I did absolutely no research on purpose, just because I basically had them everywhere.
I mean, that's what we're trying to harness here.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
And to the 8th round, and this is kind of where the money gets made. We are not picking kickers and we are not picking defenses in this league. But if you want to find late round value, it starts here. And it starts with Kev kicking off the 8th round. He has done what I did in a previous draft and took Calvin Ridley. This is a number 1 wide receiver on an offense that we are at best unsure of. TJ Hawkinson goes immediately after, and man of the moment from our question in the Friday show around Isaiah Pacheco. He goes to team 8 as his second running back behind Ashton Janty. He is hoping for upside. We are putting Isaac back on the clock. Your team is Jahmyr Gibbs, Nico Collins, Lamar Jackson, Breece Hall, DJ Moore, James Conner, Jerry Jeudy, and a player to be named later. Later is now. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I've got Travis Hunter's there, but I don't want to take him because I don't know what this Jacksonville offense is going to be. Chris Godwin, he's injured probably to start the season. I've got Baker there. We're in a 1 QB league. The value I see here is probably Tony Pollard. He's going to get a lion's share of the work at Tennessee, so I think we're going to get a good pick there.
I mean, this is a guy who got 1,000 yards last year on an offense that we can all agree was battling. Is that the nice way to say shit, Tay?
Shit.
Like, shit is a very nice way to put it.
Well, you're in sales. When something is shit and you trying to want to make it sound like it's not shit, what do you say?
Polished the turd.
yeah, so he is rolled in glitter, probably. And then we see Tracy go next, and I just think his future is very uncertain since they drafted Scatterbo. Baker Mayfield does go immediately after that. And then Mark Andrews, who we all remember, last time we saw him, he was dropping a pass that would have taken them to the championship game. So tough to be Mark Andrews. He's still the 6th tight end off the board. That puts Matty C on the clock. My team at the moment is Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs, Terry McLaurin, Joe Burrow, Jameson Williams, Aaron Jones. And now I've got a decision to make because I am balanced with 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and my quarterback. I kind of feel like Najee Harris is likely to get the lion's share of the role early at the Chargers. And then when you look at wide receiver, it is guys like Travis Hunter. Roma Dunze is still kicking around, Jacoby Myers. For me, a guy who can score two different ways is difficult to pass up. I'm going to go and take my boy Travis Hunter. He made, how much money was it, Isaac? He was taking half as much money for each position. Is that what was going on?
No, I think he was saying his missus takes half because he didn't sign the prenup.
Yeah, nice one.
So 30 million guaranteed, 45 million contract over 4.
There you go. So it puts Bowdo on the clock. What are you up to, mate?
All right. So it's no surprise that I'm wide receiver needy here.
I don't believe you.
So to the untrained eye, I am looking at a veteran. He's at a new team. His quarterback situation is new to everyone. So I am going to go Cooper Kupp. Reason being, I think there's an opportunity for either a Jigba or him to be wide receiver 1 there. So I got no choice. I've got to take that gamble.
I mean, looking at your team, you got Barkley, Irving, Josh Allen, Amarian Hampton, George Kittle, and DeAndre Swift before you even took a single wide receiver. So to be able to say Jalen Waddle and Cooper Kupp are your top 2 receivers, even though you've taken them in the 7th and 8th round, is kind of a little bit amazing because both of them have plenty of upside. Tay, your team here now is Jamar Chase, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Kenneth Walker Jr., and then George Pickens and Khalil Shakir are your most recent additions. That makes your team 3 wide receivers and 4 running backs. What are you doing, mate?
Well, the guy I was tossing up with Shakir made it to me again. So, I mean, it showed how much I was actually considering reaching on him on that turn. I just love taking the known, like the guys that I actually think are talented that are wide receiver 1s on the team. And I actually think this team has reason for optimism this year. So I'm going to take Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
That group of guys, like him and Shakir go together in every single draft. And I just think they're both massive value. Now, I've got an interesting one here. I'm not going to go quarterback still. I'm kind of happy to wait there. I do like to up all the running backs. Like we'll talk to you about, you don't like Brian Robinson. I think he's in a decent situation. I think I'm going to do what I did in the last draft, though, Matty C, and just take the ridiculous value on Travis Kelce.
I mean, there's a part of me that was hoping he would come back because I knew that Bowdo didn't need 2 tight ends. So that there was a part of me that was playing that game.
Again, I'm not saying he's old Travis Kelce. I can see it. He's cut his hair. He's he's lost 20 pounds. I don't know. I don't need him in the 8th and 9th round to be old Travis Kelce. I just need him to be fucking not an absolute piece of shit. Look, if he's shit in the first 4 weeks, I can stream the position. I'm not risking anything by taking him in the 9th.
It's 100% what I would have done. It puts Bowdo back on, who's now just taken 2 wide receivers after going 0 WR through the first 6 rounds. He's got balls of steel. Mate, you have come to the right place. What are you looking at now, though? Because you're in the position where you got 4 running backs and wide receivers. You got 2 of them, and now you got your tight end and your quarterback sewn up. So that is essentially your starting lineup. Where do you go now?
So I'm going to create myself a safety net and draft Najee Harris. I did take a big gamble on Hampton, but if I can combine the 2, man, I've got an RB1. So I'll take him as a safety net, and I'm happy to take some swings on some vets and some rookie wide receivers moving forward.
I'm going to reach a little bit, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. I've gone and taken Travis Etienne. It's the 9th round. Last year, you needed to get him in the 2nd or 3rd round. I don't know that a lot has changed. He was a little hurt last year. He won't be a little hurt going into this year. And Tank Bigsby is not a great running back. And I feel like in the 9th round, you're likely to have a guy here overproduce. He's just going to overproduce that draft pick, and I'm okay with taking him as my 4th running back. Bo Nix, Rome Dunze, and Brian Robinson go next. I almost feel like Brian Robinson versus ETN would be a great water bet. Isaac Goonity, you're back on the clock. What are you going to do with yourself here? You got all these running backs, a couple of wide receivers. You got your quarterback sewn up. Where are you looking?
I'm looking at wide receiver to add some depth into the team, and I think this guy's really good value in the 9th round. Everyone's raving about the Patriots offense, so I'm going to take Stephon Diggs.
Right. So, and someone has to take that shot, right? There's got to be someone who's got the balls out to take a shot on a wide receiver for New England. The only player we've seen gone from that team is when we saw Kev go and take Henderson as the rookie running back at the end of the 7th round. So Someone's got to have the balls to have a go at this team. It's nice to see you're one of those guys. The next picks are Deebo Samuel, who's now in Washington, of all places. Chris Godwin finally goes 2 rounds later than he could have. And then we put Kev on the clock. He's going to finish this 9th round with the rookie tight end, Talor Warren. To start the 10th round, and I love that Kev has done this, he's gone ahead and taken my mate, Javonte Williams. He finds himself in a new spot at Dallas. He had 1,000 yards last year. He's going to roll with the departing running back. Had 1,000 yards, and to me, that's worth some points. Caleb Johnson, who is the rookie running back at Pittsburgh, goes as the 2nd pick of the round. And then a guy who I think is an extraordinarily great sleeper, Juwan Jennings in the 10th round, to me, has limitless upside because we don't know what Ayuk's going to look like, and everyone else is kind of out of the building except for Kittle. Kittle goes quite early because Bowdo's all over that shit. Now we see Isaac back on the clock. What do you do in your 10th round, brother?
I'm looking at the running backs and no one's really standing out to me. You got Jalen Warren, Scatterboo, Ramondre Stevenson, Charbonnet. So I'm going to go back over to the wide receiver side. You got Ayuk. You don't know how he's going to go after the ACL. So I'm going to give him a pass. So I'll take the shot on the rookie and go with Golden.
I don't know how you know who's going to be the top wide receiver in that team because you could also make the case for Christian Watson, couldn't you? And all of a sudden you got 3 of them. Jalen Warren goes next, and then Brandon Ayuk and Jaden Reed. So these are the guys you were immediately talking about, all 4 before I wind back up on the clock here. This is the 8th pick of the 10th round. The guys in my range now, I'm looking at guys like Ricky Pearsall, Josh Downs, Darnell Mooney, Cam Scatterbo, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Charbonnet, if you believe in Tajay Spears or Rashad White. I'm just going to sneak in Darnell Mooney because to me, he has got the most upside of everybody there. There are definitely guys who I think have got paths to more consistent production. This guy is a 26-point day waiting to happen, and he is my wide receiver 5, and that is exactly what you do with your wide receiver 5. Goes and puts Bowdo back up.
You snaked me. So I was looking at Mooney. I think he's mentioned it on one of the previous drafts. Man, value. Man, what are we, 10th round? And
10th round.
I think that's a steal. You know, I think he's as good as Drake London when it comes to points or the potential to have points. So I know he's not my pick, but he would have been a good one to have. I will be going wide receiver again. Situation's not clear over at Indiana, but Pittman's produced in the past. Don't know if it's going to be Richardson or Jones. Jones can feed a wide receiver. You look at him feeding Malik Neighbors last year. Who's to say that he doesn't get on the field and create a bit of chemistry? Yeah, let's go to Pittman. Even if I don't have him in my team, he can ride the pine until the time's right.
He will be coming into the season fully healthy, which is something we couldn't say at any stage last year. And it does kind of look like Dan Jones has got the lead there at this point from everything we're getting from Instagram and NFL Twitter. It does go ahead and put Tay on the clock. I'm just going to run through your team here, cock showers. You've got Jamar Chase, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, and Kenneth Walker. Then in more recent times, you've gone on the wide receiver run and got George Pickens, Khalil Shakir, and Jacoby Myers before taking, I don't know if you heard of this guy, Travis Kelce, anyone? Yeah, he's your tight end in the 9th round. So quarterback free and one of the few teams you are. But where are you looking now, mate? Final pick at the 10th round.
I'm also looking at an Indianapolis wide receiver, but I'm going to go Josh Downs. I just think he's as good a chance as Pittman as taking the role. I actually think Dan Jones, I know he's not an amazing passer, but I think he's definitely better than Richardson at this point of his career. So I'm actually kind of hoping for Downs' sake that it is Dan Jones. And I just think of the youth and what Downs has sort of shown so far, I actually think there's an opportunity he could take over as the one. So I'm just sort of taking that shot. I'm not downplaying Pittman. I've always liked Michael Pittman as well. But I'm just sort of feeling like, there's a reason why they're back-to-back in ADP. I just don't think anyone fully knows. So I'm happy to sort of take that shot there. Few guys, I've got some interest. I'm actually going to take my boy that I just took in the IDP Dynasty that Bowdo wasn't exactly stoked that I took him. I'm going to take TJ Spears. I just think there's a chance that he sort of takes over Pollard at one stage. I'm not projecting it. I just think that he's got the youth. I know he's got no ACL, but I think if anything that might push the envelope a little bit earlier for them. And if they want to sort of get out of Pollard's contract at the end of this year, they're probably going to want to start giving Spears more work. And the Titans' offensive line, they just keep building it every single year in the draft, and it's actually projecting to be at least middle of the pack, which compared to the fucking Titans' offensive line of the past is a massive, massive upgrade just being in the middle of the pack. So, I like Spears as a later pick.
How about after taking Pittman and watching Downs go immediately afterwards, Bowdo, and then a guy who personally Tate's had a swipe at you about with TJ Spears, where are you looking now?
Well, if I was in a situation where I didn't have a QB and a tight end that, wasn't a set and forget. I'm lucky enough to have that. I'd probably be exploring to, swing at a rookie tight end. This is back at Tay of another one that he pinched from me. So I'll save that one for a later round. But I'm going to go Coleman. It's always good to have a stack with your QB and a wide receiver. He could have a breakout. And it would be good to double down on them points.
Tate, we love to stack that bitch up, right? This is verbiage that we got from Brendo in our league, is that when you get the wide receiver and quarterback, you have stacked that bitch up.
It's in the NFL fantasy folklore. It's definitely part of our verbiage that we love to chat about.
Time-honoured tradition. While people will eventually in these auto drafts go and take a second tight end, there is a bunch of them there I'm happy with. And even if Isaac wants to go and take one, he's not going to screw up my plans. So it gives me the freedom to feel like I can continue to look at upside shots at running back and wide receiver. And this is the opportunity, right? We were talking about these guys earlier in the day. There's Ricky Pearsall, and I think Isaac is pointing at me going, you better fucking leave him alone. And Mecca Egbuka. And then also a little further down, there's a guy named Jaden Higgins, who's the new wide receiver at Houston Texans. And at running back, we've got guys like Cam Skaterbo, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Charbonnet. I'm going to go and take Charbonnet because I think he immediately comes into a top 10 running back role if anything happens to Tay's boy, Kenneth Walker, and it opens trade opportunities to talk to Tay about how to get that guy to him in the event when Kenneth Walker hurts himself. Johnny Smith, Kyler Murray, and Jared Goff go next before Isaac. You're on the clock, mate.
Yeah, so no Ayuk there. I think Pearsall last couple of weeks in last year had really good fantasy weeks when he was the number one target.
He did.
I think
Absolutely did.
I think he's going to go back there. So I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall.
You looked so angry at me when I started waving my little mouse over his little plus button too. I could see the venom.
I watched you and I was like, don't you dare.
You fucking better not. David and Njoku and Justin Herbert go next before we see Kev back on the clock. Now, Kev's team, he is one of the only guys who doesn't have a quarterback until now. He goes and takes Drake May.
He's taken Drake May in every fucking draft he's ever done, except our dynasty where I took him right in front of him. Suck shit, Kev.
Suck shit, Kev. He is, to me, has anyone else run into someone who believes in Drake May more than Kev? Honesty corner. Come on. You can say if you have.
Also, I want to throw out he loves Tyler Warren, the Jets tight end, and I took him a pick in front of him in the dynasty as well. So that, for anyone who's wondering why my nickname in the group chat is that is from Kev.
That is why. He goes ahead and takes Drake May, and then to finish that 11th round, he starts the 12th round taking Trey Harris, who is the wide receiver at the LA Chargers. We've actually talked about Trey Harris, and we think he is a sneaky upside shot after Quentin Johnson. And, of course, we know that Ladd McConkey's going to need some volume there. But as a run-first offense, we don't know who's going to be second in that offense and in terms of receiving, and we think Trey Harris is as good as anyone, right?
Yep. 100%. I think that they've finally got their guy that they can trust at wide receiver too. Sorry, Quentin Johnson, but you've got hands like dicks for fingers, so he just cannot catch. And I just think Trey Harris is in a position to take that sort of volume that Ladd McConkey doesn't eat up.
Wait. Do you know who led the Chargers in touchdown receptions last year, Tate?
Probably Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, it was fucking Quentin Johnson. Holy shit. He must have had stickum on those fucks because there's no way. After all the balls I saw him drop, how the fuck did he hang on to that and come up with the second most touchdowns? Anyway, Evan Ingram goes next to the Kev Scatterbo. We're going to put Isaac back on the clock now. We are only a couple of rounds from done because we're running 14 rounds. We are not running a kicker and a defense in this one. We've got 3 wide receivers in a row. Stephon Diggs, Matthew Golden, which I wish was my surname, and Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, I'm not going to choose a tight end until the last round, so just foreskinning it there a bit. There's one guy still there who I think he's going to start the season as RB1, so I'm going to take him late in this round, Ramondre Stevenson.
You and Kev are going to have fisticuffs over that because he took Trey Henderson in the 7th round, and you're here spruiking the Ramondre Stevenson in the 12th round. And Mecca Igbuka goes next, and then Colston Loveland, the Chicago Bears rookie tight end, goes before Brock Purdy is the pick ahead of me on the clock, which, I'm devastated I didn't get a shot at Brock Purdy. As you all know, I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan. Not at all. I'm going to use this as the opportunity now to go ahead and look at my tight end because the running backs, not terribly exciting. The wide receivers, I feel like there's guys there who can come back to me. This is a shot where I'm just going to go ahead and I believe that Tucker Kraft is going to be a fine little addition at tight end. I've been talking up a lot about Kyle Pitts through a lot of this offseason, but copping a fair bit of abuse about that one. So I'm just going to try and stay straight at 180 and take a guy who people don't hate, and Tucker Kraft is it. It puts Bowdo on the clock. Mate, your last running back was in the 9th round, Najee Harris. Aside from that, you had been on a tear of wide receivers. Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, Michael Pittman, Keon Coleman. What are you going to do now? After all that running back heavy at the top and all this wide receiver heavy at the bottom, you got about 3 picks left.
Well, as I said, I was going to take a swing at some rookies. Let's have a crack at Higgins from Houston. I think where did they come from? The college he was playing at.
He was at Ohio State, wasn't he?
Yeah, so it was him and
Booker.
Noel, that was it. Yeah, it was out of them two.
Iowa State, sorry.
Iowa State, that's the one. It was out of them two. And I guess drafting wise, I think they picked him up in the 2nd round. Let's get CJ Stroud back to his rookie year.
Make CJ Stroud great again.
Yeah, I'm just having a swing at a rookie, and I reckon at this point in time, he's probably my best bet.
Well, I would have taken him for sure. He's one of these guys. I just think he's similar to Trey Harris in the same mold for me, where I just think they're locked into that wide receiver 2 position. And even though I love some Nico Collins, I just think there's going to be opportunities there behind him. So, yeah, I really like the Higgins pick. He'll be one who's popular for me. I'm going to take Jordan Mason. I don't know what it is. It's that offensive line for the Vikings. This isn't me talking down Aaron Jones. I think, like Matty said, Aaron Jones is himself an awesome value. I just think if Mason's like 35 to 40% involved snap count in this backfield for the Vikings with that ridiculously good offensive line, I just think there's actual value to him. And if Jones was to miss some time, I just think Mason's an awesome backup to have. So
I think it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation.
I don't know. I just think where he's going, there's only upside for him. So I really like him there. There's only 2 rounds left for me. Probably just going to take a quarterback. I almost consider just taking quarterback and another one at the end. I don't really give a fuck. It's like, it's literally my last pick anyway. Matty and I'm going high on this guy, but he just seems to get left for dead in the quarterback range. I've got someone ranked higher, but honestly, if I really wanted to, I could probably just take him after anyway. I'm going to take Jordan Love.
I mean, I like Jordan Love as a top 10 quarterback. So, if I hadn't taken Burrow, then he's like a late round flyer for me. Mate, after taking 3 wide receivers in a row, you got Pittman, Keon Coleman, and now Jaden Higgins. What are you going to do to wrap this draft out? You've only got 1 pick after this one, but where are your upside shots coming from now, Bowdo?
Well, to be honest, I don't need this guy because I've got my set and forget tight end. He was high on my list on some other drafts that we've got. Surprise, surprise, Tay swooped in. That's why they call him the...
proudly.
I'm taking Talor from New York Jets. I think with Fields, it's obviously going to be a run-first sort of offense, but I think Fields scrambles a little, and I think he needs an option, and I think a fresh tight end, keen as mustard, dog with two dicks, and he's going to be there. He's going to be open. So it would be good to see Mason Taylor get some action in that Jets lineup.
Mate, I'm not going to labour over my decision. I'm just going to go and take Rashad White because I think he stands to gain the most out of every player that is left in the 13th round. There's nobody who has more opportunity to walk into more volume tomorrow than Rashad White. But I guess you could make the same case for Rico Dowdle, who's behind Chuba Hubbard. But I just kind of feel like the opportunity there for White is higher. Tank Bigsby goes immediately after Dowdle, and then Dalton Kincaid, who has been left for dead at tight end in the 13th round. Hey, Isaac, 2 picks to go. You've taken Ramondre Stevenson after a run on wide receivers. But what do you do here?
I'm going to go with running back to make it an even 5 running backs, 5 wide receivers.
Delicious.
This guy could potentially get a lot of the workload because his RB1 is injured quite a lot, which is Isaac Guerrero.
Yeah, I think he is the must-have handcuff. If you're a McCaffrey owner and you don't leave your draft with Guerrero, you're kind of playing with fire. Caleb Williams goes as the second quarterback for Team 8. And then Christian Kirk, who has found himself in Houston, is the second last pick of that round. And then after Drake May and the Trey Harris picks from Kev, he goes and takes JJ McCarthy, who's kind of an unknown quantity, but we expect should be fine. The system and the coaching over at Minnesota, we think, is worthwhile. Then Luther Burden, who is a Chicago wide receiver, wraps up Kev's draft. We'll recap the teams in a minute. And then Chutin, who is the backup running back behind Bigsby in the Jags. Jaden Blue, who's the running back behind Javonte Williams in Dallas. Now, all of a sudden, we put Isaac back on the clock for your last pick, mate.
Okay, so I've got to go tight end here, and this will be a controversial one, but I think he will be the tight end 1 by the end of the season, and that is Isaiah Likely.
Sorry, can I just clarify? Is the tight end 1 for the Ravens? Is that your call?
For the Ravens, I think they're going to trade Mark Andrews, and I think Likely's going to take over.
Now, when you said he's going to be the tight end 1 for the season,
sorry.
I think you could also make the case.
Sorry. The Baltimore season, not the overall season. Let's just get that straight.
I feel like you were about to make something prodigious in the last round.
No, it was he's going to be their tight end 1 for their team.
God, you had me dying for a sec there. I started low and then I was working my way up, but I'm glad you cleared that one up. Isaiah Likely, and he clearly, in terms of just total points, was the tight end 1 there last year. Rashid Shaheed is the wide receiver with the most upside in the universe going, immediately after your pick. Marvin Mims, J.K. Dobbins goes right before my pick, and I'm going to wrap my draft up just because I think there is a little bit of upside still for Austin Eckler around there. He stands to gain a lot if anything ever happens to Brian Robinson. Puts Bowdo on the clock, mate, after your pick of Taylor in the last round as your second tight end. Any bold calls to wrap out your draft?
This is just to sort of, wrap it up. I think I'm just going to go with Chubb. He gave me Chubb for many years. Let's get it back up.
I love that has come full circle. And by come, I mean come. Taylor, to wrap out the entire draft. Last pick was Jordan Love. Before that, Jordan Mason and Tajay Spears. What are you doing to wrap this one up? You haven't taken a pass catcher since Josh Downs in the 10th round.
So I want it well known that I still just think Dak Prescott's value is just absurd. Like I have him well entrenched in my top 10. The way I've built this by going a quarterback already, I'm just not going to go add him because I just don't think he's the prototype of a person that you would take as a second quarterback. So I'm actually going to take Justin Fields. I just think he's the more prototypical guy to take as a second quarterback. And if Jordan Love isn't throwing the touchdowns that I hope, and it's all going to Jacobs, I think Fields has that upside of being the guy that could sort of break fantasy this year. But I just want it known that I think Dak is just ridiculous value. Plus, I have Pickens, so you could have made a case that having that stack would have been all right. But yeah, I just thought, fuck it, I'll take Fields as my second quarterback.
But I think if you take a guy like Prescott, you are agonizing every week between who you start between Love and Prescott in a way that I think you will know the weeks that Fields is a good start. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, exactly.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
This feels the opposite of being picked in the sack. Let's fucking go.
You know how some years I'm like, fucking Talor doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, we're normally called major wankers instead of rankers. So yeah, that can be our tagline.
In a car in the dark with a full erection.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Fellas, we have got to the end of the mock draft show. Thank you so much to, firstly, Talor, for all you do every week. You bring the research. The public love you. We'll see how the public love your team this time around. Mate, any closing comments for the jury?
No, I just want to say thanks to Bowdo, thanks to Isaac for coming on, boys. It was amazing to have you on. Like, you obviously...
It has been.
Yeah, like Bowdo, I've already talked to you on the side about how much you're into NFL fantasy. So thanks so much for coming into the group chat. But not only that, just coming onto the podcast so early in the season and sort of shooting the shit with us. Like, we want more, Aussies that are into fantasy or even just into NFL in general coming onto either our podcast or G'day Gridiron. It's just great for the network. And thanks to both of you and Isaac for coming on tonight and, dealing with our shitty 5 questions each and doing a mock draft, because it really, really made the podcast work tonight, boys. So thanks again.
My pleasure, man. I absolutely had a ball. It's obviously talking to you guys in drafts and following the show, mate, looking like a stalker, liking every single post and every single reel. It's good to be here. Obviously, good to see Isaac's face. Yeah, look forward to hopefully a couple more appearances, man. I can't wait for this season to start.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's been great, and thanks to Bowdo. Come on and just be himself, and it's been really good.
What I like is that, because Isaac, you've been through the ringer a couple of times, but you bring on Bowdo. Bowdo, mate, straight out, you're taking shots, you're having a crack at Talor, you're having a crack at me. You and Isaac are having shots at each other. It's exactly how we envisage it should be like when you get a few blokes together to talk football and talk fantasy football. So thank you for bringing a great attitude to the show and not holding back. I love that you came straight in and went straight for the jugular.
Absolutely, man. Like, no dull moments.
And what do we expect out of a 7 out of 10? Like, he's just.
But after, I'm probably gonna have to wake my missus up. But I'll show her my team. I might get a bump up a couple of points.
I don't know why that's. I thought that was going a different direction. I don't know what you're showing.
I'll wake her up and show her my team. Like, fuck.
Yeah, and the mock draft.
So I got to show her my team. I'm like, okay, and then he goes, and I might get a couple of, and I'm like, whoa, hang on, and then it dropped off pretty quick. So
show her my chub.
Hey, babe, they don't know that I got chub in the last round.
That is a meme waiting to happen, buddy.
Hey, you can find us everywhere. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we are everywhere you can possibly imagine to get a podcast, and we eat nonsense put up on YouTube. So you can find us in all sorts of places. You can get involved as well if you are liking what you hear and think, hey, I need to be part of that community. Matty podcast. You can even go straight to the @Aussie NF on Instagram and just touch base. I mean, we've had folks do less than that and get dragged into podcasts, and you could be the same. Isaac, Bowdo, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a great time, and I'm looking forward to crossing paths with you through the season. Hopefully we can drag one or both of you back through before we get too much older.
Thank you, Matty and Talor.
See you soon, lads.
Thanks, fellas. And Talor, up yours, mate. See you later, Croc Showers.
Guys, mate, I'm still moister than a LaShawn McCoyster. Thank you.
Sean McCoy reference. Is that just for Bowdo being a bit of a Eagles thing?
Oh man, I've heard some stories about Shady McCoy, and we'll save it for the R-rated show.
That one's for the After Dark podcast.
Oh, put it this way, he's a bad man.
Shady sounds right on, right?
Oh yeah. Man, some crazy times with the Pit Panthers.
Oh, jeepers. All right. Well, in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. Everyone, imagine what you will there, and hooroo.
Hooroo.
Thanks, Panther.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home for NFL and Australian gridiron content. Discover everything the network has to offer, including G'day Gridiron, Pastry Press, NFL, and Aussie Gridiron Today. Buy merch and win free stuff. Visit the mothership at linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Hooroo.